What if I told you your next garden masterpiece is already hiding in your trash? In this video, I'll show you how bottles, tires, and driftwood, the things most people throw away, can become the most magical part of your backyard. From glowing firefly lights to a tire Panda play corner, these 12 recycled ideas will change the way you see your small garden forever. Welcome to Mind Over Decoration, where we turn everyday waste into timeless beauty. This video takes you through 12 creative DIY garden ideas that anyone, anywhere in the world, can build, whether you have a big backyard, a small patio, or just a few square feet of space. Timestamps are included, so skip to the part that inspires you most, and if you have questions, drop them in the comments. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story and a real family. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit that button, you're not just helping a creator grow. You're helping a small dream stay alive. You're giving a family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. As the sun begins to sink and the sky melts into a canvas of pink and violet, something magical awakens in this tiny backyard. One by one, the soft yellow lights inside recycled bottles begin to glow, small, humble, yet full of life, like a swarm of fireflies returning to dance around the garden. These aren't expensive lanterns or fancy decor. They're bottles that once held water or soda, now reborn as glowing guardians of summer nights. Each one catches the fading sunlight during the day, and at dusk, they offer it back as warmth and wonder. The border they form isn't just decoration. It's a story of transformation, a reminder that even the smallest piece of trash can become a spark of beauty when touched by creativity. The glow shimmers across the marigolds and lavender, painting the petals gold. The gentle hum of crickets blends with the soft twinkle of light, wrapping the garden in quiet serenity. Some bottles hang from thin branches, swaying gently with the evening breeze. Others stand firmly along the garden path, leading you toward the bench beneath the old tree, your personal corner of peace. The air smells of earth, grass, and new beginnings. In that golden moment, surrounded by recycled magic, you realize something simple yet profound. Beauty doesn't come from perfection, but from purpose. And sometimes, all it takes to light up a backyard is a few forgotten bottles, a handful of solar lights, and the imagination to see what others might miss. So tonight, let your garden glow, not just with light, but with the joy of creating something from nothing. Because this is where ordinary ends and wonder begins. In a quiet corner of the garden, where the wooden fence meets the whispering leaves, a burst of color suddenly catches the eye. A peacock, majestic and proud, yet born from the most unexpected material: old, forgotten tires. Each curve of its tail tells a story of transformation. Once rough and black, these tires are now feathers, painted in shimmering hues of turquoise, indigo, and gold, glowing softly under the afternoon sun. What once rolled along dusty roads now stands still as art, breathing elegance into a humble backyard. As the breeze stirs, morning glory vines climb around the fence, framing the peacock like nature's own masterpiece. Butterflies seem to mistake it for one of their own, landing softly on the painted feathers, adding a living touch to this recycled sculpture. This isn't just garden decor. It's a statement that beauty can emerge from anything, even from what we throw away. The peacock reminds us that creativity is a kind of alchemy. It turns trash into wonder, silence into song, emptiness into pride. At sunset, the metallic paints shimmer like real feathers, their colors deepening with the fading light. The garden feels alive, not with motion, but with presence. A quiet dignity fills the space, as if the peacock is guarding the garden's dreams. Standing there, you realize how simple materials can shape extraordinary stories. A few worn-out tires, some leftover paint, and the courage to imagine something beautiful. That's all it took. So, the next time you walk past the corner of your backyard, let this peacock remind you: art isn't born in perfection. It's born in transformation. Because when you create from the heart, even old rubber can shine brighter than gold. At first glance, it looks like a wall of color, a gentle rainbow resting quietly in the heart of a tiny backyard. But as you look closer, you realize every color tells a story. These aren't ordinary decorations, they're reborn bottles, each carrying the mark of transformation. Once discarded after a single use, now they line the fence proudly, each one painted by hand, catching sunlight and turning it into art. Between them, vines climb freely, weaving through the rainbow like nature reclaiming her space with joy. Morning glories bloom from the bottles' mouths, their petals opening wide to greet the day. The result is something far more than a DIY project. It's a living canvas. Every color feeds the next. Every plant leans toward the light. The bottles, though made by man, seem alive again. Their transparency lets the sun shimmer through, casting a mosaic of colors on the garden floor. The air smells of paint, flowers, and fresh leaves. Butterflies hover near the purple bottles. Bees hum near the yellow ones. The garden feels like a painter's dream, where human hands and nature's patience meet halfway. What makes it truly magical is its simplicity. You don't need much, just a handful of bottles, some leftover paint, a few plants, and the courage to experiment. It's proof that beauty doesn't demand perfection. It simply needs intention. And when evening comes, as the light softens, the wall glows with quiet pride, a symbol of how even the smallest act of creativity can bring life to forgotten things. So if you've ever looked at a plastic bottle and thought it was just trash, look again. With color, sunlight, and imagination, it can become your garden's brightest rainbow, proof that wonder lives in the ordinary. There's something poetic about a whale made of wood, a creature of the sea reborn on dry land, breathing life into a quiet garden wall. Once forgotten planks, scarred by time and weather, now curve gently into the shape of an ocean giant. Its body carries the story of the forest and the sea. Its heart holds flowers instead of waves. The wooden whale stretches across the fence as if gliding through sunlight. In its mouth, a planter overflows with greenery and blossoms. Ivy spills down like falling water, and pink petunias bloom like coral drifting in the tide. Every breeze makes the leaves dance. Every shadow feels like a ripple across calm water. This isn't just decor. It's a moment of peace captured in form. A meeting between craftsmanship and imagination, between the past and what's possible. The old wood, once rough and silent, now sings softly through color and texture. Each detail tells a story. The faded blue paint hints at salt and wind. The cracks in the grain resemble ocean lines on a map. And when the evening sun strikes its surface, the whale seems almost alive, a guardian watching over the tiny garden below. Building it doesn't require perfection, it requires feeling. A few planks, a simple sketch, and the desire to create something kind. That's the essence of DIY art, turning ordinary pieces into symbols of calm and connection. When you step back and look at it, surrounded by summer blooms and warm air, you'll feel it too. That small pulse of happiness that comes from creating something that makes others smile. So let this whale remind you, beauty doesn't have to swim far. Sometimes it's right there on your garden wall, carved from old wood and endless imagination. When daylight fades and the garden begins to whisper, the dragonflies awaken. Not the ones born of wings and water, but those reborn from what we once threw away. Transparent, glowing, and light as dreams, they hover above the garden path like tiny lanterns of summer. Each one began as a bottle, forgotten and dull. But with a few careful cuts, some wire, and a spark of imagination, they found new life. Now they line the walkway, soft lights marking each step, guiding you through the twilight garden. The warm glow reflects gently on the petals of marigolds and the pale lavender leaves. It's not bright enough to steal the night, only enough to remind you that beauty can exist in quietness. The dragonflies rest on thin stems of wire, swaying slightly when the breeze passes. In that subtle movement, they feel alive, like nature's own little spirits watching over the flowers. The mix of light and shadow paints patterns across the stones, creating a rhythm that seems to pulse with the heartbeat of the evening. There's something deeply comforting about this scene. It's calm. It's human. It's a story told by hands that refuse to waste. And when you walk through this glowing path, surrounded by gentle hums of crickets and faint scents of lavender, You realize how little it takes to make something beautiful. A few empty bottles, a strand of light, a moment of intention. That's the essence of summer DIY. Not perfection, but connection. You craft, you care, and the world answers with light. So as night deepens and the dragonflies shimmer softly in gold and amber, let them remind you, your garden doesn't need to be grand to be magical. It only needs a touch of your heart and a hint of recycled wonder. In the middle of the garden, where laughter seems to bloom as easily as flowers, something extraordinary rests upon the earth. An octopus made not of ocean waves, but of old rubber and imagination. Once black and lifeless, these tires have been reborn into something joyful. Painted in coral pinks and ocean blues, their curves twist playfully across the ground, like living arms reaching out to hug the garden. In the center, from the octopus's head, flowers spill over, zinnias, petunias, and marigolds dancing together in the summer breeze. Children stop and stare. Adults smile without meaning to. It's that kind of creation, the kind that feels both whimsical and wise. Because behind the colors and the laughter lies a simple truth. Creativity can turn the dullest things into happiness. The rough surface of the tires now carries stories of life, not roads. The painted brush strokes, imperfect yet full of care, catch the sunlight like scales. Each tentacle is planted with blooms that twist and climb, mimicking the motion of seaweed in an invisible tide. As you walk around it, you can't help but feel that this octopus has found a home on land, a gentle guardian of flowers and smiles. Its bright eyes seem to say, "See what happens when you don't throw things away." This is more than garden art. It's a celebration of second chances, for materials, for creativity, for people who dare to make beauty where others see waste. When evening comes, and the last sun ray slips across its painted skin, the tire octopus glows softly in the warm light, a symbol of joy born from simplicity. In that moment, the garden feels alive, playful, and full of wonder. And you realize, once again, that nature and imagination speak the same language, the language of endless possibility. When the day slows and the air turns soft, the garden begins to glow, not from the stars above, but from the tiny jellyfish floating gently beneath the trees. They drift without water, swaying on invisible threads, glowing softly as the sun melts into gold. Each one was once a bottle, tossed aside and forgotten. But tonight, they shimmer like creatures from another world, reborn through imagination and care. Their tentacles ripple in the breeze, catching the fading light and turning it into a slow dance of colors. Pink, blue, amber. There's a quiet rhythm here. The lights pulse with life. The flowers below answer with their fragrance. The whole scene feels like a slow heartbeat, calm, glowing, endless. Children giggle beneath them, reaching up to touch the floating shapes. Adults pause, caught between disbelief and wonder. And in that silence, every jellyfish becomes a reminder that magic doesn't need oceans. only intention. The transformation is simple, almost poetic. A few bottles, a pair of scissors, a bit of string, and a spark of imagination. That's all it takes to make the air itself come alive. As twilight deepens, the jellyfish lanterns begin to mirror the stars that slowly appear above, blending heaven and earth into one gentle glow. The garden no longer feels like a place on land. It feels like the sea itself, waves of color, light, and motion. And standing there, surrounded by recycled dreams, you can't help but smile. Because sometimes beauty doesn't shout, it whispers, it drifts, it glows softly in the dark, like a jellyfish made of light, reminding you that even the simplest creation can make the world feel new again. At twilight, when the air cools and the world turns quiet, the mushrooms awaken. Not the kind you find in forests, but ones carved by hand. Roots of old trees reborn as little lamps of light. Their caps glow softly beneath the fading sky, guiding every step along the garden path like gentle guardians of night. Each wooden mushroom carries a whisper of history. The wood once belonged to fallen branches or forgotten stumps, and now it tells a new story of warmth, of transformation, of the human touch that refuses to let beauty fade. The glow beneath the caps isn't bright, it's tender. It spills gently onto the moss, over the tiny daisies and ferns, painting them in golden tones. Moths hover above, drawn to the soft light, and for a moment the garden feels alive with a quiet kind of wonder. Standing among them, you can almost imagine small forest creatures hiding nearby. Tiny fairies, shy hedgehogs, curious birds, all sharing this peaceful glow. It's the kind of magic that doesn't shout but hums softly in your chest. Creating them takes little more than patience and care. A cut of wood, a soft brush of paint, a simple light beneath the cap. Yet what they offer is immeasurable, a sense of calm that seeps into the soil itself. As the night deepens, the wooden mushrooms shimmer against the dark, transforming your backyard into a fairy woodland. They remind you that light doesn't have to be loud to be beautiful. It can simply exist, warm and steady, in the places you least expect. And there, in the hush of summer evening, surrounded by your own handmade forest of light, you realize this is what peace looks like, crafted, glowing, and deeply alive. Morning breaks over the garden, soft light spilling over the fence line, and with it, the sound of tiny wings. One by one, the birdhouses awaken, filling the air with song. They stand proudly against the fence, each painted by hand, each holding its own story. These birdhouses aren't perfect. Their edges are uneven, their colors a little faded, but that's what makes them alive. They were made from scraps of wood once destined for the fire, now transformed into homes, small sanctuaries for life and sound. Sparrows flutter in and out, carrying bits of straw. Finches perch on the perches, singing their morning songs. The ivy curls around them as if nature herself is decorating the fence with gratitude. The whole garden hums, a gentle chorus of wings, leaves, and light. There's something deeply satisfying about this view. It's not just a decoration, it's a living partnership, a collaboration between hands and nature, between creation and care. Every brush stroke, every nail, every tiny hole drilled into the wood becomes a doorway to new life. And when you step back to admire it, the fence no longer feels like a barrier. It feels like a community. The pastel colors glow in the morning sun, the birds dart in and out, and the flowers below mirror their joy in full bloom. This is what a handmade garden is meant to be, not perfect, but alive. It breathes, it sings, it welcomes. So as you listen to the melody of the morning, surrounded by recycled dreams and fluttering wings, you'll realize that beauty doesn't always bloom from flowers. Sometimes it perches quietly on a tiny wooden house and sings. In one quiet corner of the garden, a snail rests beneath the morning sun, not a creature of shell and slime, but one of color and creation. Its spiral shell gleams with mint green paint, and from its core, life bursts forth, herbs, fresh and fragrant, waving gently in the breeze. This is the tire snail herb planter, a reminder that function and fun can coexist beautifully. Once just a discarded tire, now it holds flavors of the earth. Basil sweet with summer air, rosemary tall and fragrant, mint cool against the wind. Each leaf catches the light like a living jewel. Children love it for its whimsy, adults love it for its purpose. Together, they see not just a planter, but a little guardian of the garden, patient, round, and full of life. Its eyes, made from bottle caps, seem to watch over the herbs as if proud of their growth. You can almost smell the garden's rhythm here, sunlight on green leaves, soil still damp from morning watering, bees humming lazily nearby. There's peace in the simplicity of it all. Creating this snail doesn't take much. One old tire, a splash of paint, a handful of herbs, and a bit of imagination. Yet what it gives back is endless beauty, flavor, joy. As you stand before it, watching the sunlight slide across its painted curves, you realize that this little creature is more than a garden ornament. It's a story, one of patience, transformation, and quiet delight. Because in every recycled thing lies a second life waiting to begin. And sometimes, that life takes the shape of a smiling snail, cradling a garden in its spiral heart. Somewhere between the sea and the soil, art is born, a seahorse carved not by waves, but by hands that remember them. Every piece of driftwood in its body carries the whisper of the ocean, salt, sun, and time. Together, they form something new, a guardian of calm for a small patio, a sculpture that feels alive even when still. The driftwood seahorse stands proudly, its curves soft yet strong, its colors muted by age and nature. You can see where the wood once floated, where it cracked, where it endured. Yet somehow, in those imperfections, lies all its beauty. Around its base, seashells and smooth white stones echo the rhythm of the coast. The air feels lighter here, scented faintly of sea salt and herbs from nearby pots. As sunlight drapes over the sculpture, the shadows it casts look almost like waves, flowing quietly across the patio floor. It's hard to believe it was made from fragments, pieces that once drifted apart, now joined into harmony. That's the quiet magic of recycling, not just giving things a second life, but weaving a new story from what was lost. There's peace in this creation. It doesn't shout for attention. It simply belongs to nature, to time, to the rhythm of a mindful hand. The Seahorse reminds you that art doesn't have to be loud to move you. It can be silent, grounded, and filled with memory. And as the evening light fades, the Driftwood Seahorse glows softly in the warm hue of dusk, still, graceful, timeless. A piece of the ocean resting in your backyard, reminding you that even the roughest pieces of life can become something extraordinary when shaped by care. Every garden needs a smile, and in this one, it comes from a panda made of tires. Round, friendly, and full of charm, it sits quietly in the corner, surrounded by flowers and laughter. Its black and white paint gleams softly under the summer sun, while a pot of green plants rests in its lap, a symbol of care and new beginnings. Once discarded rubber, now reborn as joy. The tire panda doesn't roar or move, but it fills the space with something better, happiness. Children run around it, their giggles echoing through the garden, while parents smile, remembering the simplicity of play. The panda watches, patient and gentle, as if guarding those small moments of wonder. The area around it feels alive. Marigolds burst with color, fairy lights sparkle faintly even in daylight, and the faint scent of grass fills the warm air. There's peace here and innocence, the kind of feeling that makes time slow down. Creating it took nothing more than imagination, a few old tires, and the courage to paint. But what it gives in return is priceless, a reason to smile, a space that feels alive, a reminder that creativity can shape happiness out of anything. As evening arrives, the fairy lights above the panda begin to glow, casting tiny stars around its head. The children have gone inside. The garden grows still, and the panda remains silent, steady, kind. It's not just decoration. It's a story of what happens when care meets creation, when waste becomes wonder, and imagination turns simplicity into love. And so, under the soft glow of the lights, the tire panda stays, a gentle guardian of joy, reminding everyone who visits that beauty can be built, happiness can be planted, and even the smallest corner can bloom with meaning.